A Light in the Darkness Chapter 56, Fan Fiction by Azazyel. A loud cracking noise followed by a soft sigh rang out as I broke through the true realm, and I had officially shed the first layer of my mortal frame in stepping into becoming an immortal cultivator, as laying next to my bloody form was a whole layer of skin that I broke free of like a butterfly breaking free of a flesh and blood cocoon. The spirit realm, which I reached from the previous true realm, was one that was a sublimation of the soul as I elevated it beyond a mortal human. Now, Pysker couldn't just mess with my soul as my own was now strong enough to attack back and defend from intrusion. Wordlessly, I burnt away the remains of my transformations and then coated myself in pure young flames that burnt away the leftover blood that was spilled in my ascension to a higher cultivation realm. But even as I closed the portal, I made it into the warp to fuel my ascension into another realm. I was feeling at a loss. Something is up, I grumbled with a sigh, and after getting a quick shower, I put on some clothes and went to go check on Ellesmere, who was herself working on her cultivation. A couple of minutes later, I entered her own meditation area, and her eyes snapped to my own and raised an eyebrow. "What's on your mind, Jake? You look like something is wrong," she asked plainly, thankfully not beating around the bush like she was wont to do at times. I frowned before sighing and shaking my head, before I finally spoke. I feel a sort of loss or confusion after my ascension into a new cultivation rank, and wanted your thoughts, if not just comfort," I said, and she tapped her fingernails on the folded knees, as from where she was meditating. "Something is likely happening and before she could continue, we both gasped as we felt a violent spatial tear in the planet's surroundings resound through the sex wards, and then we quickly looked through the sex wards and found a large ship cruising directly towards us. "That's an Imperium ship. That's an Astra Militarum ship at that," I said bluntly, closing my eyes and sighing as I realized that the fucking ship was flying directly towards us. How does it know where we are, and what does it even want? I pondered before clicking my tongue and standing up. "As I was saying, Jake, your cultivation does elevate your soul and mind and strength, does it not?" She spoke humorously before she continued. "Then there you go, your developing prophetic senses could tell trouble was literally moments from our door," Ellesmere said wryly as she stood up and took up her spear that could channel her ice/Een techniques. I groaned as I stood up and with a hand sign I began filling the sex sun with my chi to take control over it if necessary soon enough, as the sun had eaten a great number of demons and even tyrannids, and with that ship being a couple kilometers in length I doubted the sun could take it down completely, but it wouldn't be able to fly out of here if the sun blew itself up on it. "Well, let's go meet our guests," I said wryly as I watched through the sex wards as the massive battleship blew a section of the forest at the edge of the mountain we were built upon so it could safely land in the blown-up area. "You won't just blow them up and save us the trouble? I mean, you still have the solar lance spells ready in our ship. Come on Jake, save us the trouble. I already have foreseen how this meeting will go." Ellesmere whined, and I raised an eyebrow as she started her monologue about how this meeting will go. "First, they will see you and look down on you for being a savage and not being part of their Imperium. Then they will poorly attempt to smack you down, in which you accidentally kill several of them on human soldiers, and then you are called a heretic for using your supernatural abilities without being a space marine, to say nothing of myself being seen there and thus myself being called xeno scum and likewise you being called other things before they attempt to murder us all." She grumbled, and I sighed. "Ellesmere, it's not going to be that bad. Maybe it's a rogue trader or something, so we can trade for some interesting things," I said, trying to put a more optimistic spin on things as I saw a large barge ship fly out of the cargo bay of the ship and start flying over to our sex mountain directly, and my face twitched at how unerringly it was heading directly at us. If we are not shot at today, I will allow you to bring Arya, that Wraith Knight pilot you took under your wing, into our bed, and you claim her and her sister. That is, if blood is not spilled this day." Ellesmere snorted, and I stared at her blankly as I knew all too well that my overly sensitive space elf waifu had zero patience for harem shenanigans and was rather jealous, so her words, more than anything, demonstrated how sure she was that something was going to happen. "And if you are right, what do you want?" I said wryly as Ellesmere followed me elegantly as we walked through the sex grounds, while we walked towards the seeming landing site of the large personnel airship that was flying our way. Ellesmere, for a couple of minutes, was silent, and the personnel ship seemingly found us walking through the smoothed-out top of the mountain the sect was built upon. It was clearly coming in to land a few dozen meters away from us. Finally, the moment of truth occurred, and my face twitched as the aircraft's doors opened, and out stepped that damned sister of battle that was hounding us on that hive world, and that made us flee. Jake, I don't like being shot at. I am going to sit on your face for getting shot at today. She said bluntly, and I sighed, already feeling soreness in my jaw at the coming exercise on later if I survived today at all.